In terrorist news, U.S. man admits building remote control for KKK X-ray device intended to kill Muslims.
Now, Eric Frey, a control system engineer, pleads guilty to providing material support to terrorists. A New York man who admitted building a remote controller for a mobile X-ray device intended to kill Muslims has been sentenced to 8 years in prison.
Now, I don't know how true the 8 years is, because later on in the article it says that he got sentenced for a longer time, but it's crazy that this article is coming up now when it's a couple years old because of all the terrorism going on in all the other countries. So
I think it's like absolutely crazy that I don't even know what they would use an X-ray device for. Maybe
yeah, that doesn't really make sense why they would use
like
X-ray.
To find them or something like that. They can see through buildings and see which people are in where, but I don't really know.
Yeah, that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
So Eric Frey, he's 57 years old, pleaded guilty in 2014 to providing material support to the terrorist. He was sentenced on Wednesday in federal court in Albany. Now, this is a relatively new article, so it was about 4 or 5 days ago, by the time of this being posted, that he was convicted.
And potential targets were never discussed with me, Eric said. They fathered of 3 said he became afraid to drop out after Crawford introduced him to 2 seemingly dangerous investors in the project, actually FBI undercover agents. Now, this is kind of a little bit of like a thing like that, because what if this guy, let's say that out of nowhere, these 2 guys came up to him and asked him to build this kind of thing, and they were obviously terrorists and they could harm his family and all that other stuff. He really doesn't have that much of a choice whether or not he wants to do it or not, so he's basically gotten forced into it. So to me, personally, I don't think that the 8 years really was justified, because personally, for me, if someone just randomly came up and said, yo, I'll kill your family, or you're gonna build this thing for me, I would definitely have built it.
You just gotta listen to it at that point instead of killing your family. With that being said, he actually procrastinated for 6 months in delivering the remote control while he refused to interrogate it to directly operate the actual X-ray machine. The agents brought, adding he did not think it would work, he said. So he claims that he built the machine, but he says that he claims it didn't work at all, when he knew that it actually worked, but he just didn't want to give it to him in order to kill people.
See, if that's where, though, it kind of like takes a twist for this story, because if he could have procrastinated enough to inform the FBI that they were working for him, or that he wanted to build this thing for him, so that's where he kind of was in the wrong. So I guess starting to see that. It said, even right here it says, the FBI told him, you understood what it was you were doing, Mr. Sharp said, and that was one of the FBI agents. The machine could have worked and killed people as intended.
So yeah, so he knew the whole time that it worked. He just didn't want to give it to him, and who knows how many people that the machine would have actually killed if he would have handed it over. So that's why he procrastinated the 6 months. Who knows? He could have procrastinated a year, but then by that time the Muslims could have killed him, or whoever he was giving the actual machine to. So
in all thing, I think this is actually kind of a good thing for him to get caught and this device actually not to be out there, where it could
probably save thousands of people, maybe.
How thousands of people maybe have died or something like that. But honestly, I'm glad that they caught this. I'm glad, even though it took place a little bit while back, all this stuff that's going on with ISIS and stuff like that has been going on for a couple of years now. So I'm glad that they have caught him now.
Yeah. So Crawford, he was actually 51 years old. They worked at a mechanic General Electric company, which enables him to build such complex machine. Where Frey was also a subcontractor, and was convicted of attempting to produce a deadly device, conspiring to use a weapon of mass destruction, and distributing information about weapons of mass destruction. He could face 25 years in prison at his sentencing in March.
So Frey and Crawford were arrested in 2013 and have been jailed ever since. Investigators began tracking Crawford in 2012 after he approached 2 Albany area Jewish groups. Authorities said that the device was not working and nobody was hurt. So actually, this could have maybe been kind of like a test run to see if they could have actually done something with this device. Yep. So glad none of that worked, and glad both of them are in prison.
So Crawford and Frey, from what it sounds like, were heavily...
They were very, very knowledgeable of what they were doing. Yeah. They knew how to manipulate people to get what they wanted. They knew how to be able to get the things. They had the smarts to be able to build this machine. Like you said before, they were working industrial mechanic at General Electric shop, which deals probably with all the computer parts and
the programming, the coding of everything.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
So Also, it looks like the FBI was really in tune with these guys because they've been tracking them for years on end now. So it's nice to finally see that these guys are in prison and this machine is not out with anybody and killing people. So
although that since they caught these guys, you know, like people are reading these articles and stuff like that every day. It's actually like a little bit scary to think that some people could actually be out there making stuff like this, especially Americans. Like these guys were just Americans. Like I said, Freight, he had kids and stuff. He had a family and stuff like that, and he would just be willing. Like I said before, I don't know whether he was putting up the hostage or something like that, but it's just really scary to see that like own Americans could like turn.
Yeah. So if you guys want to check out this article, the link is down in the description. The link for last week's news article is also in the description. Go ahead and subscribe to Steve's channel. Thank you for coming on this episode.
No problem.
Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace out.
Peace.
Bad luck news. Teenager dragged into a wood chipper and killed on his first day of work. Now that is what I call bad luck. Now this 19-year-old Manton Scott Cox